Welcome back to the channel. The official start of spring is just around the corner, and now is a great time to start planning your homestead's garden. And if you are new to either homesteading or gardening, then this is the perfect time to start. Now, one of the most important aspects of your system is soil, and this is an area where you can make improvements all year round. Now, most of our urban and suburban backyards consist of what is known as fill dirt. Its primary purpose was for grading out and leveling sites for construction. This dirt consists of very little organic matter, which house the nutrients needed for healthy plant growth. To make matters worse, oftentimes this fill dirt contains trash or other contaminants. Now, you would be surprised to see some of the things that our chickens have unearthed in their digging. Now, conventional tilling requires you marking out a plot, removing some grass, and tilling or turning the soil. This is labor extensive, and at the end, you're still left with fill dirt that has very few nutrients. Now, no-till or lasagna gardening takes a much different approach. The concept is to bring in organic material and essentially make your own dirt. Now, if you've ever actually examined a forest floor, or any stretch of woods for that matter, you will notice that the earth or the soil is extremely fertile. Now, this is largely due to the constant death and decay of plant and other organic material that compost in place layer after layer, year after year. This material is slowly broken down by things like fungi and another garden favorite, worms, which will soon be one of your measuring sticks for fertility. So here is how we made our forest-like soil and why they call it lasagna. Now, my first step was to lay out some cardboard where I wanted my beds. You can also use newspaper for this, but obviously it won't last as long as a weed barrier. We wanted the grass underneath to die and become nutrients for other beneficial organisms. It also helps to give the cardboard a really good soaking, but I've skipped this step if I expected a heavy rain within a day. The next step was to add all the organic material I could find. This could be grass clippings, leaves, or some form of compost. Now, I would urge caution on where you source your materials, as some lawns are treated with various chemicals, but our front yard provided enough for us to start. Another key part of our system is the fertilizer that chickens produce. I like to make the joke that an effective urban homestead revolves around what comes from a chicken's ass. We don't let too much in the way of biological material leave our homestead if it has a use. Again, our goal is to add material. I even found several horse owners on Craigslist that were offering free manure, although some do charge. Again, be mindful of potential chemical presence, even pharmaceutical, when it comes to equine bedding. Now, we still give the area a good soak after each layer, and then we finally add straw or mulch. Mulch can be expensive, and remember that you don't want any colored or treated product. We were lucky to have a tree service right down the street from us, and we've had truckloads of mulch delivered over the years. Leaves can work also, although not every tree is suitable. You also don't want any compaction, as aeration of the soil is also extremely important. So from here, you can plant directly into the mulch depending on how hot your fertilizer is underneath. Now, it's important to plant deep, although I still fill the hole with some potting soil or compost to help the plant along. Mulch also helps retain moisture in the soil. Now, let me say here that I had zero fear of failure. I expected failure, and I embraced the opportunity to learn. I also understood that most of these results I would not see for years down the road, and that is with continual efforts. My goal was to create a forest-like fertility in my garden. Now, some years I use very heavy plantings of things like sunflower or giant amaranth, and I employed what is known as the chop and drop method. Basically, every weed that gets chopped stays in place to compost in place, much like the forest floor. Patience is required, but as this establishes, you will start to see every plant as useful. At this point, most can't identify my edible from my medicinal plants as anything but weeds. I highly recommend sunflowers and giant amaranth as great support species for soil conditioning. I will definitely be making a video on amaranth in the future. So the big takeaway here is this, that if you are thinking of growing your own food using essentially field dirt on a suburban lot, consider the benefit of adding material as opposed to tilling. In just a few years, you will see your fertility increase as you add more biological diversity as well. Any plant that you kill from your inexperience will provide nutrients for the next year as your overall fertility improves. Making dirt takes time and willing victims. The most important thing is to start today, as spring is just around the corner. Start sourcing your material, picking your area, and making plans. If you like this video, please hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe. Thank you.